What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gankers Podcast, a show about gaming and ganking. We're not experts, but a few of us think they are. No shame in that, but thank you for joining our fourth episode. It's the fourth episode, right, guys?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Quattro, senor.
Yeah, thank you for everybody that's coming back and listening to more. A lot of good feedback on the podcast so far. Thank you to all of our friends from the Guild, everybody from Rebels that have joined in and helped us out. A lot of cool things in store for the future. But today we want to have probably a little shorter episode. But the TBC Beta was released, and some of us have messed with it, and others haven't. And we don't want to go over anything spoilery or anything like that. But we do want to talk about some of the stuff we've seen online, some of the changes, mages are OP kind of thing. So right off the bat, how much experience or knowledge, or how much have you really watched about TBC Beta so far online?
I'll go first. No, I haven't seen. Honestly, I haven't watched too many videos yet. Basically, the extent of what I wanted to know. I know shocking here would be the boosting. I'm kind of curious, as far as mages are concerned, what changes, talents, can we still boost, that kind of stuff. I was fortunate enough just a couple days ago, actually, to get invited to the TBC Beta for the first time. So I decided to pop in, and they hadn't introduced the hit cap yet. So I was like, my blizzards, I was doing the ZG1 pull, and I pulled about 50 Crocs, like the Crocs Tiger Pack, and it was doing like 215 damage per tick on my blizzard, which I was like, whoa, that's insane. Like, I know with more gear, I'd probably be like well over 300. But then they introduced the hit cap actually earlier today, and so I popped on to kind of see what changed, how it would change my blizzard, and it is completely different. I don't. It's going to be way more difficult. I know that you're supposed to be using some flame strikes in there because once you flame strike, the AoE from the flame strikes on the ground kind of like consecrate. It's actually ticking at full. It's doing about 100 damage for my character, which is actually not half bad. The problem is somehow I have to try to keep my pull inside of flame strike, which is really hard. Or I just lose a lot of mana because I'm constantly, jumping on the rope of the bridge, popping down a blizzard, and then switching and getting off the rope on the bridge, and then having to do another rank 1 blizzard. And it's just mana wise, I know it's going to be viable, and hopefully somebody that's a little bit smarter than me, like Arleus or somebody else out there, will be able to figure out like a better option for it. But it's definitely still going to be a thing. I think people are going to learn how to do the one pulls like Mara and everything like that. It's already been done. I know you were talking earlier, Althlos,
that weren't they saying something that some of those guys are already doing some one pulls, or not so much one pulls, but clearing the dungeons themselves?
Yeah. Althlos, you were talking about that earlier, right?
Yeah. So if our listeners don't know, in TBC, what they patch up is Blizzard. I think we talked about this on the other episode, but I have a better understanding of it now. So let's say that your Blizzard damage is capped at 10,000 damage. It doesn't just hit 10 targets. It will do 10,000 damage over 10 targets plus. So in other words, if let's say you have 10,000 targets in a Blizzard array, it'll tick for 1 on each target one time and only do up to 10,000 damage. That's how Blizzard works now. So you can still pull 300, 400 mobs like in Mara, but the damage only goes up to 10,000, so you're going to be ticking for like 10 to 22 or whatever on all the mobs, and it takes way longer to kill them. Like Arleus did a test in like Mara where like the original Blizzard kill phase takes 8 Blizzards, 9.
It's like 8 to 10 depending on how many you pull. Yeah.
And his new kill phase for a 300 plus pull is 58 Blizzards. So it's like it still can be done, but you need to modify it to do it better, basically. Now, I did watch some stuff on some mages that were, doing like semi one pulls in some TBC dungeons where they've already found the exploits to actually, LOS mobs and pull them up on corners and stuff. There's like one of the first dungeons in TBC you can go into. They found a spot where you can actually kite mobs and make them run up on a wall to find you, and it's like jumping up and down on the bridge, where they've already found a spot.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
from what I could tell, it's now up to Blizzard whether they want to patch that out or just leave it in.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to patch that, or well, maybe, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I know that they've been dabbling with hashtag yes some changes, so that could be something that they want to get rid of. I don't know.
Is it for? I know you can actually pay. Is it true that you can pay for a level 58 in TBC?
It's been confirmed. Yeah, I mean, you obviously can't do it right now in the
Yeah, I believe
in the
it's
beta, but yeah, it's been confirmed that you will be able to do that.
one
Yeah, I
per
think it's a
account,
one-time
right?
thing, though.
I think it's 1 per account, and no Blood Elves, no Draenei. Which, by extension, is no Shaman, no Paladin for the opposite ways.
So if you didn't have a Warlock, you could just buy one, basically.
Yes. A level 58 one. And I think you'll start off with like some dungeon gear.
So they
Kind of
are
thing.
putting that into TBC, correct?
Right. Yep. Yeah, that was part of the announcement. And a lot of people are worried.
Does that apply to shamans as well?
No, so no Draenei, no Blood Elf.
So you still have to level a fresh Shaman,
So
basically.
yeah,
Yes,
so by
that's
extension,
correct.
the Alliance can't boost Draenei, so they can't boost Shamans.
I'm not. I have to say, I think that's. I mean, from a business standpoint, obviously, they're going to make money off of it. But from a player standpoint, at least from my standpoint on this, I don't like that.
A lot of
I mean,
people
I
are worried
realize that
about
people
it.
can just boost up and get more characters, but it just seems like it just there was no point to almost play Classic other than just to experience it now, because now you can just buy a character of whatever class you want, save Shaman, and just immediately go to Outlands and start playing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know the data on like how many people were just waiting around for TBC the whole time. Like they just skip the Classic experience. There's
Well, I can tell you a lot of people in RA, in our guild specifically, there are definitely a lot of people that are starting to come back. With a couple months before TBC, they killed Ragnaros and they were like, oh, that's all I wanted, and they quit for about a year and a half, and now they're starting to come back. So there's probably a lot of players that have been waiting for TBC and maybe didn't start Classic and will actually enjoy the 58 boost.
Yeah,
Get right into Outlands immediately.
I know for me because I have so many different classes, I'd love to have like a level 60 Warlock on my main account, which I don't have. So for me, it's like, oh, I get to skip 58 levels, which is kind of nice because I've leveled so many different characters so far. I've done it the boosting method, I've done it the regular old, grinding method, and I've also done it where like I have a 60 just being followed around constantly. So I mean, it's a lot of different stuff. And I'm not necessarily totally against getting a level 58 if like you're somebody like you viewing who you have like every single class.
Yep, everything but
ready to
Shaman.
go.
I'm just waiting for Draenei. Just waiting for TBC.
So yeah, some of the worry with the boosts coming in is I think it's been data mined that it's coming in via the in-game shop that you see in retail. I think that's what I heard. And so like people are kind of figuring it or thinking that if that goes a step further, like what else are they going to add to the shop?
Yeah, that sounds like a slippery slope, honestly.
Yes, exactly.
We're gonna get
people are worried about
we're gonna
that.
get everything.
That's why I don't like it either too. It's just like it's introducing real money into the economy, something that wasn't in the game at that during that stage. Like there was no cash shop, nothing like that. Like that didn't start coming out until a little bit later. Wrath, I think, maybe saw a little bit of it with the introduction of like buying like pets, but it started off as cosmetics, and of course then it went into now mounts and everything else. But yeah, I think introducing this into TBC is a bad idea. Like I know people have got like, if you earned it, if you got the class there while playing through Classic, that's one thing. But just coming in and you're just like, oh, I'm not happy with my class, and instead of actually having to put in work on it, I'm just going to throw money at this multi-billion-dollar company. They're going to give me a freebie, and then I can just go about my business. I mean, I understand the appeal for some that just don't want to put in the time and effort, but honestly, it feels like it feels like I spent all this time leveling some of these other characters the old-fashioned way for nothing. Like I could have just waited through some money and been done with it. I don't know. I think it takes away from the game a little bit, honestly, in my opinion.
It seemed like out of left field to me. Like, oh, boost, really? I was not expecting that to come in for Classic. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, I
Those are
think you'll
not
find a
things
lot
I
of people.
associate with each other.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of people, join Classic to get like the experience that we had back, in 2004, 2005, like back when Vanilla first came, when WoW first came out. And obviously, like Brad just mentioned, you just mentioned that we, that they didn't really introduce Cash Shop until possibly Wrath of the Lich King. And we're only in TBC now. And they're like, oh, hey, surprise, you can actually boost yourself to 58. It's been data mined that there might be possible mounts on the way. It's just like, oh boy,
Yeah, I was
like
gonna
I'm
mention
definitely
that, yeah.
nervous.
I will say that the mount that I saw was not a flying mount. It's just like a cool looking mount. It's not a flying mount. So I don't know the whole situation, and also it's really hard to tell because I would imagine in like a scenario where Blizzard's actually talking shop with their like strategists and their business guys, like how do they mitigate the market for like gold sellers and stuff like that? It's like it's very obvious, like on Classic, who the gold sellers are. Like,
Right.
it's
Oh,
so
100%.
obvious. Like, and players can complain all day about bots and these farmers and stuff, but the players dictate the market. It's like they want to buy gold. They don't want to farm. A lot of players do, and there's a huge industry behind it. So, like, is
Wait
Blizzard
for it.
trying? Is Blizzard? Yeah, we're by the way, guys, we're PvPing in Kargath right as we do this podcast. It's pretty awesome. Getting honor kills as we go. But like how does Blizzard mitigate that? Like, what's the solution? Like, they're not super great at targeting these people and banning the gold sellers because gold selling is done under the table it's done through means inside the game, and whether it be like trading 500 gold here and there, which we trade gold like that between each other all the time because we've accumulated a lot of gold just playing the game for so long. That's why you've seen like Blizzard experiment with tokens in Classic, in China, for various reasons. And then, I don't know. It's weird. Like
I would say,
I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, like I wouldn't necessarily be against tokens in TBC if they were put in the right way.
Oh, see, I have to go completely opposite on that, man. Like I have to be 100% against tokens being introduced into any part of what they would call the Classic experience, because you want to talk about opening up the market for buying gold and stuff. Well, there you go. Because if you got the gold, then you can just buy time. You can buy the tokens, and you can turn around and sell it for more gold. Create a bigger market. Sell, buy. It just causes. I think that caused a lot of the inflation on the servers. Like you used to be able to buy, things like you think things are expensive now when things are costing, like 60 gold for 5. Well, imagine if it was actually like, trying to buy one item ended up being, 5,000 gold. Well, that's what it normally is in retail, even for the smallest items. It's ridiculous how much they cost. But, you're running around making gold left and right. It's just too much.
Well, just thinking off the top of my head, I heard recently, like earlier today, actually, that Blizzard has been discussing actually dropping the 1-month purchase of subscription time in favor of like basically, I think if I remember correctly, is like trying to get people to pay for 2 months instead of 1. And so, the most efficient way at that point to get like a 1-month subscription was then to buy WoW tokens. And I feel like if they were to do something like that, they would definitely be introducing that into Classic WoW as well.
I'm so sorry, Brad. I killed that rogue, buddy.
Yeah, Drewster just got me.
Yeah, no, good. I'm glad because he was sitting there getting away from me. He had one hit left, and I just mistimed my kidney shot, so he got a blind because I was apparently being noob at that point.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird topic. I mean, there's the market saturated, gold because of like Gbids and Classic, like the demand for gold has went up tenfold. we have items going for tens of thousands of gold. Like somebody pays like 10,000 gold for a DFT in a BWL run. Like, did they farm that? Or like if you had 10,000 gold in your pocket and you earned it in game, it'd be really hard to give that away for one item because it took so much time to accumulate.
I mean, an item like DFT maybe only because DFT barely ever drops and it's best in slot basically all the way through Classic.
But then you have somebody like we saw like not that long ago that spent like 150k gold or whatever on a fucking sword off of KT, which it is the best sword in the game, but it's like 150,000 gold, man. Like that carries you through TBC, through like the future of the expansions where that sword never doesn't matter anymore anyways.
Yeah, it was 198k, and he said that he got it by farming for 6 months, Dire Maul East or something.
Yeah,
which I think people did the math on it, and it was literally impossible. He would have had to run for 6 months, every single day, 27 hours a day, which obviously is impossible. So that's definitely obviously he bought that gold. Let's be honest, and that's why he got banned.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone knew what was going on there.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Now, have you guys heard of any like bugs or anything that's been found in TBC? Any weird things happening? 'Cause from what I can tell, it's been a smooth experience for a lot of people so far in the beta.
I haven't seen anything like big. I mean, I was running over to see if I could turn in coins and get experience, on Yojambo Island. I tried that. I also, was seeing Bijus, about reputation and stuff like that. There was a small thing where like I was running across the bridge, and for some reason the camera got all glitchy if I ran in the middle of the bridge. And then there was another one where the Stormwind Mage Tower, the camera would automatically adjust for you if you're holding down both the left and right mouse. If you're clicking left and right on your mouse buttons, for some reason the camera would auto adjust, and sometimes you would instantly go right back into the Mage Tower. So there's weird stuff like that, but I haven't heard of anything like too major up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was messing around. I got access to the beta and I jumped in on my main just to test some stuff out, which I'll talk about from a boosting standpoint in a second. But like, yeah, it was fine. I went to Karazhan. I didn't really do anything. I just went through the portal because whatever. It is what it is for me. But I didn't do any quests. I'm not going to quest. Oh God, no. I'm not going to do this twice.
I agree.
But it was. Oop, hold on. Found him. There you go, guys. Yeah, I went in and I tested because I know spell power works differently with paladins now, where like it scales with consecrate. And I went into stockades with my Althalos, which is my tank paladin, and I tried the shield thing out. Looked at my talent tree, and my consecrate was ticking for like 99 or something, and it normally ticks for like 60. So, I mean, as far as boosting in the meta goes, I think that like a level 70 paladin, it will outscale a mage at some point with a lot of spell power, where your consecrate is going to tick for 150 to 200, and you'll be so tanky at level 70 that you'll be able to run all the older content dungeons without an issue, without worrying about dying.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with Blizzard getting nerfed, with the hit cap thing. I can definitely see where like earlier dungeons, paladins will be so much more viable for the boost, but I don't see a paladin being able to do a 500 Mara pull. Like I just don't see that.
No, I don't think that.
Maybe you could prove me wrong one day, though.
Hey, maybe. Cool. I mean, I've seen a paladin in Classic pull all of Scarlet Monastery Cathedral with the right setup, and I've seen a paladin pull all of Nomer with the right setup. Like the entire instance of Nomergon was pulled, and it's an incredible video. And it's very difficult to do. You need consumes and stuff, and the way that it works mostly with a paladin for boosting is you're using something called a Demon Forged breastplate, which regens health based on spell power. So like, what happens is But what I was saying is the Demon Forged breastplate scales with spell power. So like when I'm getting attacked, and Athalos' spell power with that regen kit is around 300. He will regen health as he's getting attacked, and the more I'm attacked, the more I regen. So I'll be chilling, doing a boost, and I'll never drop below 95%. on you know my health, and I'll just like be chill and good to go. No issues, no big deal.
Did you? Did you say that you practiced that on the in the beta?
Yeah.
Oh, and it worked well enough that you could just blast through stockades. Wow.
Oh, I had no issues in stockades. Yeah. So because I'm ticking for so much more damage with consecrate, that things just die way quicker.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I just like walk right through.
Yeah, something I wanted to bring up about the wanted to mention to you about the mage pulling or whatever is that they might start leaning on Cone of Cold a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Especially now with the spell batching changes, it's going to be a lot safer. Like it'll be a lot more reliable to use that slow as opposed to the Blizzard.
Yeah,
And
I'm kind of curious. Do you know, is the leeway mechanic still going to be around?
Should be, yeah.
Okay.
I think. I'm not sure.
I haven't heard anyone talk about it. That's why I'm kind of curious if you knew, or if Brass, since I know that he ran through TBC and everything, like if the leeway mechanic ever gets nerfed or removed.
The what mechanic?
The leeway mechanic, where like you can basically be moving, like for me with Cone of Cold, I'll move backwards, jump, and I'll Cone of Cold, and I can actually get much further. Like I can Cone of Cold people from much further away. Do you know if that mechanic ever goes away?
I never played a mage in TBC, so I can't really speak on that too much. My experience was limited more to warrior and to priest, so I don't know. I just started playing mages in Classic, so I know what you're talking about, but I don't know how it's going to differ come TBC.
Yeah. But real quick, I did find a list of bugs just to kind of let you guys know. So like these are a couple of the combat. There's actually a pretty large list, but just to go over some of the combat ones, the more interesting ones, like teleport to Moonglade is missing from level 58 Druid characters.
Wait,
so
what?
That's like
oh wow,
that's okay. An interesting bug.
Get wrecked. Wannabes.
Good. I can tell you, this has been the first time I've been invited to any beta for any game, and
really,
I haven't messed around with it too much yet, but I'm pretty excited about it. I definitely want to get in there and do some more stuff, but I'm not gonna do any of the quests. There's no way, absolutely no way that I'm gonna do the quests for TBC.
Got an invite from Blizzard since like the dawn of this game. Like I don't know why or whatever the reason is, but it's like every time that the whatever they're testing, anything like that comes up, I get an invite, man. Like maybe I'm just lucky with that, or I just it's once you get in one, if you keep applying, maybe you just keep getting in them. But then again, I do give a lot of feedback. I like to give a lot of feedback, obviously, and I find some of these bugs and stuff like that, and do the little reports and stuff like that. So, and I know a lot of people that get into it, they don't do any of that. Like they won't send Blizzard any kind of information. They won't, do any of it. And then they'll be the first ones that come up. Oh, this sucks. It's still buggy. And it's like, well, did you report the bug, or did you just say this sucks? It's buggy, kept it to yourself, cried, and overspilt milk because you had a chance. That's what the whole dang beta's for, is to give them your opinion. And you did what with it? Nothing. Okay, so shut up. Like I don't see how people can sit there and complain about stuff that they knew was wrong, but they don't have the time to let Blizzard know about it, or tell submit a report. Like if you don't think that it works, then the reason that it doesn't work is because you don't use it, and you tell other people that it doesn't work, so they don't use it. It's like, just use it. They get the reports, and that's what all this is for. It's supposed to be for testing so that you can find their bugs for them, not so much for them, but it's like you don't know how a game's going to react when you start putting players into it. You know what I'm saying? Like AI can only do so much, but players, they can change everything.
Oh yeah, 100%. Nobody really has an excuse to not report a bug unless they just don't care, because when you first log in, you get a little menu that stays with you, like a little window that's open constantly that you can literally just click like submit bug, and then you can type in, I think it's like 255 characters you can put in, just making something real quick like, oh, the Stormwind Mage portal acts weird if I do this with my mouse, but if I run with W, it's fine. That kind of stuff. It's really simple. and it definitely would help help Blizzard, probably help everyone's experience in TBC by submitting a bug for sure, even if it's something small that you don't think anybody would care about. This is what I was really hoping to get out of Classic, was to level up a rogue and be able to do some world PvP. Do some solo missions, but also with a group of friends.
Good heals, playing good heals.
Yeah, but real quick, so yeah, I mean, like, the beta, from what I can tell, it's been a smooth experience. All the bug lists are nothing that should be too worried about. Not a big deal. It's just typical bug stuff. It's nothing game changing. The changes that they've talked about haven't been too crazy, besides like the data mining of potentially like a store bought mount and stuff like that, which could be annoying. And yeah, it's to each his own. Some people care a lot about it, and some people are like, well, whatever. They're not going to buy it anyways, because Blizzard's always going to try to push money down, pull our wallet.
Oh yeah, of course.
Way or another. Look at retail. There's nothing you can't buy. There's so much crap you can buy. It's only like a natural occurrence, I think, for them to try to move it into these platforms. But before we finish, so while we're transitioning out of this topic, I want to cover one more thing before we close the episode out. A little shorter episode for today. I killed the hunter. Now,
okay.
One thing I want to say that this may be a joke. It may be an April Fool's joke, but I want to get your opinion on it. So let me read this off for you guys real quick. So this is a developer, an announcement from a developer at Blizzard. Hi, everybody. We know that there's a lot of excitement for Burning Crusade Classic, but we haven't forgotten about the Classic era servers. One of the defining features of raiding in Classic has certainly been the prevalence of world buff stacking. And while there are some interesting and social effects, coordinating turn-ins, leveling alts, world PvP at buff locations, there are also an obvious negative element. Once you're buffed, you're incentivized to log off and stop playing to preserve your buffs. If you want to log off to go make dinner or put your kids to bed, that's completely fine, and the timing works in your favor. But if you still want to repair your gear, shop for consumables, or run a dungeon with your friends, that is not great. It's not great to be losing precious minutes on your world buffs, or worse, risk dying and losing them entirely. We've been wanting to do something about this side effect for a long time, without completely abandoning our philosophy for WoW Classic. So we're trying something new in patch 1.13.7, the Chrono Boon Displacer. The rest of it is kind of like, this is basically what it does. It's like you get all your buffs. Let's say you get every single world buff, DMT, Songflower, ZG, Ani, Warchief's Blessing. You use this item to take a snapshot of your buffs, and it saves them in like a time item. And you lose all your buffs. Let's say you zone into Nax, you can pop that item, and all of your buffs reappear with their original times when you got them. Now, at the very end, it also tells you how to get it in game. There's like crony becomes a thing in Classic, and you can do a quest chain to get it or whatever. But they say, why now? We launched Classic with the intent to keep the game data the same as it was originally. And we wanted to make sure that we delivered on that promise. But now that we've been through all the content phases we've planned before launch, we took a step back to consider what it really means to have the world buff system stay the way it is in Classic era. A persistent world where everybody is traveling around for magical items and spells to maximize their power is fine, but one where they stop playing to avoid wasting them seems wrong. Having an additional stop that lets you bottle your buffs seems like a thematically appropriate change to alleviate that problem. And they also go on a little bit more. So what do you think? Is it an April Fool's joke, or could it be something real?
I honestly think it's an April Fool's joke. Just because of the timing and everything. I know they kind of go on to say that it's not, but at the same time, I mean, it's classic Blizzard doing something like that. They've always had some pretty good little ideas that they've thrown in as practical jokes over the years for April Fools. And I don't see this as something real. One, because like, I don't think they want to, I mean, in the classic element, like the whole world buff system that is in place now, it's so tedious. And I just think that, I don't think I don't know. It's not something that I think is a quality of life improvement that they needed to be worried about in the game. Like, I understand the want and the want of it, or what they're trying to go for with it. I'm trying to say, but I don't know, just being able to save your buffs for a later date. It's a cool idea, but I don't know. I think it's an April Fool's joke.
What about you, viewing? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I agree with Brath. I figure it's just an April Fool's joke, but if it's not, it'd be, in my opinion, it'd be very welcomed. I'm one of those people that I never go get Songflower because it's only an hour buff. I know it's really good for me as a rogue as melee DPS would be very beneficial, but I don't know how to really coordinate it very well. Where I still have 45-50 minutes left on it before we get into the raid. It definitely would help, having it for about 50 minutes in the raid and having something where I could maybe go get all my world buffs and then pick up Songflower and then, save all my buffs and then I'm able to go run around, do whatever I want, maybe world PvP, does it say anything about dropping the buffs? Like, would you use it and then you would lose your world buffs, or is it just like copying your buffs for a later time?
So
But you
basically,
still would have the benefit of the buffs now.
Oh no! So basically, it's like, let's say you got all your world buffs, you have your full Songflower, everything, and you use the item to store them in the item, and then you're good. You don't have them anymore, so you can go world PvP. You can do whatever you dungeon with your friends, and then they're just saved inside of your little item, and you could potentially get more buffs. But the full buff
that'd be pretty
package,
overpowered.
but you can't, it doesn't stack like Dragon Slayer doesn't stack on Dragon Slayer. But I'm not sure the full mechanic. I mean. So let's see. First, you collect all of your world buffs the way you normally would. Get your summon to Dire Maw, a portal back to Stormwind or Orgrimmar for Rally and Clan the Dragon Slayer, quick trick to Yojamba Isle, blah, 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 blah. Then activate your Chronobone Displacer, which creates a supercharged Chronobone Displacer in your inventory, and an aura which holds the captured state of your world buffs. You can mouse over that aura at any time to see which buffs are stored and how much time is stored on them. You can then go about your business, secure in the knowledge that your world buffs are saved and ready for use when you need them most. When you're ready to restore them, simply activate the supercharged item. It will break apart, releasing the stored auras back to your character. Now, the way that I could see this working, in theory, is you store your buffs, you go do your own thing, you can, farm gold on your main character, do all that stuff, and then once you zone into max for raid that night, you just open the item and all your buffs appear. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I still agree. I think that would be a great item to have, especially after when going into permanent classic. It's like, why not just have something that's quality of life like that? Like at that point, it's I don't know how many people are going to continue raiding, honestly, in permanent classic going forward. So having something like that for the guilds and the raids that are going to be doing that, I think would be amazing. But I agree with Brath. It's probably an April Fool's joke, which is too bad.
Yeah, too good to be true, I think. It's somewhat feasible, but pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how it's a great thing because it is crap when you have to raid log your character 24/7 because you're raiding twice a week. Like, we know some of our best players that don't play their characters, but no more than 6 hours a week, and plus the hour to get buffs.
They've started doing some pretty interesting changes, like with, say, the hunter buffs, where they get the attack power on world buffs. It's kind of not something I would have expected them to do. So I could see them doing something along these lines for the world buffs. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Probably too good to be true.
Too good to be true.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I could see where this could be abused. So, like, basically, unless they wrote the mechanic out, where you store your buffs in the time sphere, whatever it's called, but then you go get all the world buffs again. So if you lose your buffs in raid, you can just pop your time sphere and pull all your buffs back.
Yeah, I'd be kind of curious to see how that would work. Yeah. Because that'd be really overpowered. For raid groups and guilds that aren't wiping, it'd be really nice to be able to go through Nax knowing that you have a backup ready to go with every single raider.
You'd literally have to get twice the amount of raid buffs.
But
there'd be so many more heads and hard drops. Oh my gosh!
I mean, but there'd be people that would do it. For that extra security.
Yeah, there's no way. If it works like that, there's no way. That isn't even a good solution.
Yeah, but I do see how it could be a good solution for people like some of our raiders who just raid log because of buffs, and they don't get the PvP or anything because, well, they can't. They're saving their buffs because it's so tedious to get them in the first place. Yeah, It's interesting. They did say that on the Classic era server they are going to be changing things, and releasing new content potentially. So, I mean, we'll see. Who knows?
Well, and I can tell you I'm an idiot, so a lot of times I'll get my world buffs and realize, oh crap, I don't have any of my consumes. So I have to go to the bank, I have to pick them up. Oh, I don't have enough of, like, let's say, Elixir of the Mongoose. Now I have to run over to the auction house. And when I have something like Songflower, I'm so much more stressed because it's only a 1 hour buff, like I said earlier. And so only having 1 hour, for me, it's just never been worth it because I always seem to forget something. And then, I waste like 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes of the buff. And then, a lot of times, I mean, we've been blessed that we've started, being a little bit more coordinated on our server and starting to, drop our heads and hearts, at a semi-scheduled time, which has been really nice, at least for like with us. But there's so many times where like something like Songflower, I would pick up first because I don't want to get dispelled, with the DMT and whatnot or get ganked. And so I'd pick up Songflower first, and I'd definitely waste like 10, 15 minutes just waiting for like a head drop. Like that was definitely not uncommon for me once our server got a bunch of transfers. Yeah, and we became like a high pop server.
Yeah, I mean, it's coordinating our buffs has made things so much easier, more enjoyable in the game. Like a little bit of prep work with the team, and like you don't have to stand around for hours and hours a day to get your buffs and stuff. So that's been nice. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. TBC is on the horizon. We'll be talking about it a little bit more on the next episode of the podcast. I think our schedule is going to go like this. I think on the 5th episode, we're going to drop the topic of WoW and talk about something else. So on the next episode, look out for something new. Thank you for listening. As always, guys, this has been Gankers Podcast. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment down below. What is your thoughts on TBC Beta? Have you seen anything that we missed? And also on introducing basically game-changing items into WoW Classic in the future for the permanent Classic era servers. What's your thoughts? I'm really curious to see because, people, I mean, depending on how many people are in the Classic era servers, they're going to run out of Ani buffs at some point. They're going to run out of these things. Like there won't be enough alts to drop that stuff anymore. It is a means to an end, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But as always, guys, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.